Hi, my name is Rashik, and I created the iCog app, an app used to screen for dementia. According to the World Health Organization, there are around 55 million people who have a dementia-related illness. This number is only rising and is estimated to reach 78 million by 2030 and 139 million by 2050. I was motivated to create this app after witnessing my grandfather's struggles with dementia, particularly in receiving an accurate diagnosis. Just like my grandfather, a majority of people struggling with dementia live in developing countries with low income and a lack of access to proper medical facilities. Even worse, there are an estimated 41 million cases of dementia across the world that are undiagnosed, with 90% of projected dementia cases undiagnosed in low middle income countries. The lack of a proper diagnosis can be attributed to three main factors. One, a lack of access to medical facilities due to their prohibitive costs, limited access, especially in developing areas. Two, the medical facilities that are available are overwhelmed and experience lots of delays, leading many to give up before they receive the medical help they need. And three, the main culprit, the stigma that's associated with visiting a doctor due to a lack of understanding and public awareness of the disease. Around 1 in 3 people believe that there's nothing that can be done about dementia. Many are unwilling to acknowledge that they even have a problem. They refuse to seek help. This is a major problem, as a diagnosis, especially an early one, is always a step in the right direction, especially before it's too late. Some types of cognitive impairment, such as a head injury, can be treated or mitigated with proper help. My app, the iCog, helps this problem by making neurological tests doctors use to screen for dementia available in the form of an app. It has tests like the iCog that can screen and detect for dementia, especially in its early stages. The goal of this app is to expand the accessibility of an accurate screening by making it free and available through the use of a smartphone or website. I've talked to many neurologists, and I'm currently in contact with the creator of the iCog, Dr. Sue Borson, who has published over 200 publications in this area and co-leads the CDC-funded BOLD Center on Early Detection of Dementia to make sure that all the information on this app is accurate before it's published. Now let's take a closer look at what the app actually looks like.
Okay, so when the user first opens the app, they're presented with a login screen that looks a little something like this. They can create an account by entering and filling out these fields, or they can sign up with a Google account, and if they already have an account saved, they can just log in. All the information, all the data is encrypted within cloud servers using the Firebase hosting, which I'll get to more in a minute. But for now, let's try an account that I already have logged in with. So when the user logs in, they're presented with a menu screen that looks something like this. The dashboard is split up into four parts. The first part is the risk evaluation, where you can take risk evaluations or tests like the iCog to screen for dementia. The second part is a training section, where you can see important information about dementia to combat the misinformation that's spread, such as like a helpline that's one click away. And a lot of the information that's referenced throughout the entire app can be also accessed in the references page that's typically has a study associated with the information that's being provided. Now, the third section is the report section. The report section shows your test scores over a period of time, which can help see your rate of change over a period of time. It automatically updates to the cloud, meaning that this information can be accessed on any device, even if you don't take the test, and the scores are saved both online and offline. So when you're not connected to the Wi-Fi, you can still access the entire app, you can still take all the tests, and you can still view all your test scores. And the greatest test score of each month is replaced with the current test score, or the most recent, because test scores don't fluctuate that much typically during each month. The last section is the settings page. You can view account information, you can view basic general settings, and things like notifications. A bunch of stuff can be toggled. Another setting that can't be accessed through the settings primarily is the dark theme, which looks a little something like this. It can also be accessed here. It looks a little something like this. So now let's go ahead and actually start a test. Okay, so the testing screen looks a little something like this. First, it tells you what it is, factors that it can affect the score, and it also provides a disclaimer throughout the entire thing telling you that it's not a diagnosis, it's a screen, which is just telling you if you have dementia or not, like a probability chance. What is the chance you do? Now, if I go ahead and click next, it reads this information out to you. So go to a quiet area. If it was on a phone, it would read it out to you, but because I'm screen sharing it like this, I can't show that. But it would read out, go to a quiet area. This test requires your full attention. The speed, pitch, and tone of the voice can all be changed in the settings page. If you click next, no materials needed. Ready, click the button below to start the test. So you click let's begin. Now it gives you these 3 words and it reads it out, but these 3 words are shuffled out of 6 sets of 3 words, which are clinically proven to be able to screen for dementia well. For example, if I click back here and then I click let's begin again, it'll be 3 different words: banana, sunrise, chair. So then if I click next, I'm asked to draw a clock face with the numbers and without any hands. Let me go ahead and actually turn off dark theme just so you can see it how you would without turning it on. So draw a clock face without the numbers and without any hands. So my mouse is a bit bad, but I can try doing this. It looks a little something like this. Now, I understand that it's hard for a lot of people to be able to draw it using their finger, so I added an option to be able to do it with paper, which I think a lot of people will like. So if you go like this, oh, sorry, you go undo a few times. You can also undo and you can also erase. You can also use a piece of paper instead. So if I click next, I go to the next section, which is what I skipped ahead to. Set the hands to 10 past 11. Just go ahead and do that really quickly. My mouse is a bit, stops clicking sometimes. Okay, so if I go click next, it says, do you remember at least one of the words from before? Now, I believe it was banana sunrise chair, but I shuffled it a few times, so I'm not too sure. But let's say I do banana sunrise, and then I forget to put chair. Like, let's say I put, like, A instead of the letter chair. So then I click next, or I could click don't remember if I didn't remember any of them. But click A, put A, go to next. And it presents me these 3 options. The first option is to self-grade it, which is the option that's currently available. The second option would be to use a grader, which would send the score back to someone that can grade it, like me or someone that's like certified to grade it. So then if you click, and the third option is like using a computer, which is the least accurate. But if you use self-grade, you are shown to something that looks like this. It can either be split screen with showing your clock on the left and the answer on the right, and then you have to answer these 2 questions, or you can do it full screen and then switch between the 2. So if I do, are the hours placed in correct hands? Yes. Are the hands pointed in 11 and 2? Yes. So then something I noticed is that people just click continue directly without filling these things out. So I made it so that the button is gray, as you saw before, until you press these 2 buttons, and then it turns blue, so then you can continue. Once you click continue, it shows you the screen. You might be at risk for low cognitive impairment. So I got a 2 out of 3 in remembering words, 2 out of 2 on the clock screen, and then I click continue. And then it updates in the reports, which was the same score I got before, but it would have updated this with a 1 or 4. In this case, it updated a 4 with a 4, so that's why it looks the same.
Now there's also another test, but it takes much longer, and it's not the main test of the app. The main test of the app is a mini-cog because it's super short and efficient, whereas this test is longer, but that option is there if it's needed as like a second test.
Okay, now let's take a quick look at the back end, where all the information is being saved. So the cloud looks a little something like this. So first it shows the users, and it shows each user ID, which it produces a unique user ID depending, like just randomly generated. So this is one user, this is a second user, this is third user, blah, blah, blah. First user shows their COG scores. So this is like the month, and then this is the year, and then it shows the score here. So that way it's all saved to the cloud. So for example, let's say I just randomly do this, and I'm going to get like a 0 just to show like what it looks like. So do I remember the words? No. Get started? No, no. Continue. Okay, I got a 0. It updates one of these sections depending on which user I'm on to be 0 along with the cloud. I click continue, and on the reports page it's 0 here, and it shows up 0 in one of the users depending on which one I'm signed in here. Now, Firebase is really helpful because it's not my servers. I'm using Google servers to do this, which means it's super secure. It's prone to getting hacked, definitely more than something running off my computer would be. And there's tons of APIs that make it really easy for me to be able to pull and push data directly to the cloud, and it's super fast, which is why I preferred it. And also, there's another section on the dashboard for authentication, which I also use. Now, you can see all the emails here, and you can also see if they sign in with an email or they sign in with their Google account, when they signed in, when it was created, and then their unique user ID, which is then used into the cloud. It's really helpful because I can't see anybody's passwords, but I can see their email. So if someone needs to reset their password or something like that, I can do it from here manually. And when there's like a list of like thousands of emails, I can search through it. And I can also include. Okay, so now let's take a look at the actual code. So the actual code is, I believe, over 9,000 lines. Um, so this is the main screen that pushes you to the page when you first open the app, whether the login page or the dashboard, if you're already logged in or not. This is the one of the tests. It's around I think over 1,000 lines. It looks like this. I'm not gonna go through all of them, just the important ones. This is the mini-cog test. This is the login page. I can just make an edit, and then once I save my code, it'll refresh the app, which makes debugging really fast, which is another reason why Flutter is really helpful. And because I use Flutter, I can just edit this Dart files, and it automatically builds the code into native iOS and Android code, which means that I use one language and it exports it into HTML, Java, C, Swift, whatever all these other operating systems use, which means it can be pushed to the web, to your phone, to your watch, to your TV, or to any phone. Like, it's super easy to make these changes. And it's also created by Google, which means it works really well with Firebase because they're both Google products. The APIs work hand in hand. Um, and it's really fast, which is why I really enjoy using Flutter, and I highly recommend it. I also used GitHub. It looks something like this. It was really helpful to use GitHub because I could work on multiple laptops, which I did. Some laptops had other Android devices. Some laptops had an iPhone instead of an Android, and all the code could be accessed if I use GitHub. I could also use branches to have a branch like Dark Theme, have a branch like Dashboard, and work on two separate things without them breaking with each other, and having one working branch and one testing branch, which is really helpful to just like have a stable version and have an experimental version to add more features to. Um, and if I ever decided to open this up and collaborate with other people, it would make that really easy. Overall, I believe that this app would have a huge societal impact and be used as an anti stigma device, mainly as something that can provide correct information, something that can help screen for dementia, especially when you don't have access to a medical professional, or you wouldn't have gone anyways because, like I said before, 1 in 3 people don't even believe anything can be solved about dementia, and 90% of cases are undiagnosed. So hopefully this app serves as something that can help mitigate those issues. And I believe that if like done correctly, it can even work hand in hand with medical professionals to try and speed up that diagnosing process by at least having the screening process already done, especially in places where medical facilities are overwhelmed. After making sure all the information that's on this app is 100% accurate and presents correct and important information to the user, I plan on publishing this app to the App Store and Play Store and as many other places as possible. I plan to make it free and accessible in most languages with no country barriers. That way, as many people as possible can access it. I believe that this app takes one step that's critical in the right direction, especially for being used as an anti stigma device in developing areas.